I actually like this spot. It's a good spot. Too bad Rodney King. Rodney King from 1991 beating, 30-year anniversary is today. Can't be around to enjoy this outdoor life. Fishing on a river, breathing fresh air, quiet and peaceful environment. Rodney King, after being hit with a baton by 4 police officers, LAPD, he lost all peace. What I say about those officers is this: they murdered Rodney King slowly. It took years, but they have blood on their hands, no doubt. That man's life was changed forever, mentally, physically, spiritually, soulfully. They took so much from him. The person that we heard say, "Can we all just get along?" That was probably not the same Rodney King everybody else knew. Not those sentiments. It wasn't rational. Although it made sense in the everyday world, but for someone who had been that doggedly attacked to near death, Rodney King was in a special place mentally. I remember seeing a video of him actually, in a way, denouncing what I just said, because his sentiments were that he believed, well, let me put it this way, after the noise goes, enjoy the scenery that Rodney King, because of that beating 30 years ago, will not be able to enjoy. Rodney King actually said that statement, "Can we all get along?" He said that was the kind of sentiment that he hoped would live on. And it certainly has. So who are we to critique the man who actually was in the only rightful position to give credence, value, substance to that which he owned? A wish that during the 1992 civil unrest, we would all come together. And I have to say, as someone who was there in 1992 Los Angeles, feeling the heat coming from the buildings as you drive by in the evening hours, those first couple of nights, buildings ablaze, the heat like a furnace coming through the windows. I remember a strange situation. It was on Western Avenue in South Central Los Angeles, not far from 48th Street, and this man, maybe in his 50s, possibly homeless, down and out on some level, asking, during the course of rioting and people pillaging, and streets were laden actually with material items left over, things people couldn't hold in their hand, but On this stretch, it was kind of barren sidewalk treasure-wise, but to ask for some change during a riot just sort of struck me as odd, with everything on fire and ablaze and all of the looting going around. I don't condone looting. It's something that either it's in you to do or it's not. When I drove by a music store on Vermont Avenue and about 53rd or so, the beautiful display of musical instruments, everything you can think of, saxophones, trumpets, guitars, violins, clarinets. The windows were ravaged, virtually empty. I was out of my car and in an alley where they were coming and going, looters. There was even a U-Haul truck. Somebody rented a U-Haul, and on this night, you can imagine how they used it, going from place to place and loading up. There were some drum cymbals in the street along with a guitar case. I picked them up. I kept them in my residence for several months and eventually walked into the store and returned them. The guy said, well, we can't give anything for them, but I didn't want anything. I knew that establishment had been in the community since I was in elementary school for decades. I know insurance. I knew that they had that. But that's what I did. I returned all those musical instruments and the case. The cymbals were of the finest quality. It starts with the letter Z. I may pronounce or mispronounce, but best quality cymbals in the world begins with the Z. Zenzane or something like that. But Rodney King, what a guy. When you saw that video, and he survived that, over 50 times he was struck with batons. Over 50 times. And the swings on Rodney King, they were like home run baseball player efforts to knock something over the fence, to knock a ball over the fence. They were hitting him with what looked to be all their might. And his face. But like I said, they killed Rodney King. They murdered him slowly. He was never the same. I didn't know him personally, but he was never the same. He passed away in his swimming pool underneath the surface. He drowned to death. After the beating, he was getting into trouble. And catching a case here and there. It was just so hard to find peace. Although he wanted everybody to just get along, it was hard for him in his own mind to get along with what had happened to him, to get along with his own person. So on this 30th anniversary of that beating, I salute the spirit of Rodney King, and you will never be forgotten. He will never be forgotten. Look at us now, 30 years later. If it's not Emmett Till, it's Rodney King. It's not Rodney King, it's George Floyd. A lot of work has to be done. Race analyst, PhD, proving hate and degradation.